Following my recent adventure with Scorn, which finally got released after 8 years of development, we all must admit that this game is quite an adventure. Some might argue that this game is boring, there is not much really happening, it is not really that scary, or that shooting is very bad. Some might not like this game at all, and this is understandable, everyone has different preferences. However, we all must agree that the art style of this game is amazing. In fact, I believe that the art style and open-ended storytelling is the reason why this game was created. Please give me a few minutes to present my theory on this game. In my opinion, this game was created to depict the imagery from the deepest corners of the human psyche. The horror of human existence once our kind reaches somewhat surreal point of development and evolution. In World of Scorn, a blend of the human body with an unknown type of machinery exists both as self but also as a part of a bigger machine. We can also observe structures that can be compared to insects' anatomy. A characteristic segmental looks with various dents and profound lines awakens an eerie feeling of disgust. Despite its cold and still appearance, everything gives an impression of being alive, as if it all belongs to a bigger biological system, where one part of the body cannot live without another. However, due to its surreal and unsettling look, there is a feeling that everything in this world is not right, is unnatural, is a scorn towards a human nature. Scorn, which was developed by Serbian developer Ebb Software, is said to be strongly inspired by the art of Hans Rudi Giga and Zdzisław Beksiński. H.R. Giga is a Swiss artist who is predominantly known for his design of the alien from the Alien movie. As he describes, the characters portrayed in his art are the sublimation of collective human fears. He takes inspiration from the ancient Egypt symbolism of which he was terrified and drawn into when he was a kid. In addition, inspirations come from his fascination with mysticism and the occult, which includes topics of sexuality, redemption, and power. Gigar also mentions that he was influenced by the fear of his mother from bombing and overall stress that she suffered during Second World War while being pregnant with him. Those events from his life strongly affected his art, which is nowadays described as surreal, nightmarish dreamscapes with biomechanical art style. Now let's dive deeper into the art of Zdzisław Beksiński. Zdzisław Beksiński was a Polish artist. He was born in 1929, 10 years before World War II. However, as he describes it, he did not witness much of the war and do not associate it with anything terrifying. He married Zofia, whom he very loved, however was very dependent on. She was supporting him very much and was fulfilling all his unusual artistic requests. They had a son named Tomasz, who was a famous radio presenter, music journalist and movie translator. Unfortunately, due to a troubled life, he committed suicide. Few years later, his wife died of cancer. Despite not being very social already, Zdzisław Beksiński distanced himself even more from the society and leads a secluded lifestyle. Zdzisław says that none of his paintings have any meaning. He started with abstractive drawing with erotic and sadistic themes. Then he reached for the brush. His painting style is terrifying, mysterious, full of death and horror and symbolism. Both art of Gigar and Beksiński depict helpless characters which are merged into bigger structures or machines. All of this is surrounded by a sense of horror. Very often there is a theme of reproduction and sexuality. Scorn is full of horror-like reproduction themes. Our character is hatching from an egg and sperm imagery, unusual sculptures, women-like characters with pregnancies, and machines in the shape of the reproductive organs. Humanoid characters can be created en masse, and everything has a very industrial feeling. Throughout human history, the concept of generation of the new human life is very often linked to artisanal processes such as baking and brewing. Women were very often described as vessels in early ideas of creation. Only in the 1740s the concept of reproduction was coined. This gave a conception of human reproduction outside the body, introduced abstract images of sperm and egg, and transferred the process of conceiving human into more laboratory settings. Humankind is trying to understand the function of human body and how to improve it since the beginning of our existence. To understand how our body functions, even the early humans were conducting experiments and medical procedures on humans. In the Stone Age, there are evidence of cutting a hole in a skull of early humans to release evil spirits, which might indicate sickness. The ancient Greek period is when the understanding of human anatomy and physiology greatly expanded. Greeks such as Alcmaeon of Croton and Herophilus were the first one to practice dissection of human body. Then, throughout the ancient Rome and Islamic Golden Age, individuals such as Galen, Muhammad al-Razi, and Ibn al-Nafis made great discoveries in the field of anatomy of nervous, cardiovascular, and pulmonary system. However, the Renaissance up to 20th century is the period when various researchers went all in investigation of human body. De Humani Corpori Fabrica Libri Septem, wrote by Andreas Vasilius, made a major advancement over the anatomy of Galen that was still referred to in 16th century. In his book, there are detailed drawings of human body depicting organs, blood vessels, nerves, and muscles. In the history, only the privileged and wealthy part of the society had a chance to study anatomy. In the anatomy lesson of William Royal, painted by Cornelis Troost in 1728, should be considered a group portrait of the Amsterdam Guild of Surgeons. The three surgeons in the painting, dressed in fashionable suits, held important positions as governors of the guild. They appear very proud, willing to show their superiority over the basic people who do not have an access to science and knowledge of human biology. However, what must be mentioned is the way the bodies were obtained for the dissections. For example, in 1828, Edinburgh, Burke and Hare murders were a series of 16 killings committed to sell the corpses to Robert Knox for dissection at his anatomy lectures. Nowadays, cells from human body are widely experimented on. For example, a tissue sample from cancerous womb of Henrietta Lacks were taken from her body without her knowledge. Following her death, over 70,000 studies were conducted with use of her cells without her consent. Those cells are widely known in the laboratory settings and are called HeLa cells. Furthermore, embryos of various laboratory animals and stem cells of various sources are widely applied to studies on various topics concerning human health and longevity. I am not saying that those studies shouldn't be carried out. They are very important for development of our understanding of human biology. However, those studies should be conducted to help humankind combat various deadly diseases troubling mankind, rather than to calm our curiosity or enviness or to prove our superiority to anything. In Scorn, player's character tries to find his way through this abysmal world. In my opinion, the goal of the main character is to escape the flesh-bound existence. We can see that humanoid life seems to be worthless in this world and is being treated as part of a bigger machine. To escape this plane of existence, our main protagonist leads to something which I believe can be called an insemination. It's the result of induction of some sort of machine mediated by these testicle-looking orbs that leads to, ejaculation of some white goo. You can guess what it is. He makes some sort of escape, but is still trapped in this biomechanical universe. Many of the living beings now appear very imperfect and corrupted. This might represent the effort of humanoid civilization to create a perfect beings. In World of Scorn, there are few examples of experimentation with creation of a new life, such as creation of the new humanoid, who is somewhat different from the main protagonist and is born from flower bud, or alien babies which were plugged to the machines. However, as we know, those experiments end in failure. In addition to this, our main protagonist also falls a victim to predator that attaches to him and seems to prey on his body by growing inside and outside of him. Outgrowing biomass or flesh can be found in many games, but also in real life. It's commonly associated with something negative, damaging, or horrifying. In the game, such as Dead Space, the living biomass, also known as the corruption, provides the environment for the necromorphs to live and multiply at. In Mass Effect, the Reapers is a race of synthetic organic starships. Reapers and their technology exerts a disturbing influence on organic beings. They can use this technology to create their own minions, known as husks, which they can use for their ominous purposes. In Gears of War, there is a hive, which spreads around the Earth planet and is also a place of creation of juvies and drones from captured humans. And in Halo, there is a flood. Flood is an ancient virulent parasitic organism that it can reproduce and grow by consuming sentient life forms of sufficient biomass and cognitive capabilities. In all above examples, we can see that uncontrollable growth and spread of above entities bears a resemblance to cancer. Earliest medical description of the cancer dates to about 300 BC Egypt. This medical condition was also widely known to Greeks and Romans such as Hippocrates and Celsus. Cancer is a condition where cells in a specific part of the body grow and reproduce uncontrollably. Similarly to the humanoids and biomass that spreads across world of Scorn. The cancerous cells can invade and destroy surrounding healthy tissue, including organs. Similarly to the parasite that attacked our main character. Cancer sometimes begins in one part of the body before spreading to another. Cancer demonstrates the high longevity like immortality. However, unstoppable growth and multiplication are against our nature. Furthermore, in laboratories in the process of understanding biological life, experiments with various types of cells through genetical manipulation can result in cancer growth. Another place where biomass is considered a dispensable material used to quench twisted desires is hell. Throughout our civilization, the depiction of hell in art is full of terror and horror where countless number of people suffer. This is where the devil torments us by inflicting a physical pain. In this scenario, the human body and flesh become something that we disdain, something that is very source of our suffering. Without it, we wouldn't feel pain, which relates so strongly to our earthly existence. In paintings of Hieronyme Bosch, a lot of structures located in hell have human-like shapes, which also propose that they are made of human tissue. On another painting of unknown artist called Hellmouth, in Hours of Catherine of Cleves manuscript, we can see people being fed into a mouth of a giant beast, which is a part of a bigger structure, potentially fueling it. Interesting mentions can be The Temptation of Saint Anthony by Salvatore Rosa. On this painting we can observe a creature that looks fairly like the one in Scorn, or John Martin Le Pandemonium Louvre, where capital of hell is being depicted as a massive citadel, which could be fairly like the location where Scorn story is taking place, which is a big desolate place with a massive structure in the middle of it. In Scorn, in the final stages of the game, we can observe our protagonist undergoing a surgery which ends in his brain being connected into what we could call a hive mind. He is freed from the cage, which is his body, but is still dependent on the vital processes that happen in it. Potentially, the role of the women who we can control through the hive mind is to deliver our body into salvation, where it does no longer affect us and limits us. Hypothetically, the woman carrying the body of the humanoid might indicate her role as a vessel or a carrier. In addition to this, we can observe that statues around the portal have their flesh melting from their bones, proposing that the plane of existence outside of the world of Scorn does not necessarily relate to the bodily existence. However, our efforts have failed, and despite our tries, we end up trapped in this world for eternity. Scorn depicts the gradual de-evaluation of human body. If everything can be created with use of machines and spread quickly like cancer, there is no higher purpose. At the same time, the body is being considered as mere flesh and bones, hiding a secret to immortality. The humanoid try to defeat the senseless existence by escaping to hive mind, but there is still no higher goal. There is no greater evil trying to conquer Scorn's world. There is no cult or starvation. There is no war waged against humanity. There is nothing. We just try to navigate and escape this world because it has no purpose. I am not saying there is no value to this game. There is a great value if you can complete it. I believe that there is a spiritual meaning into this game. In my opinion, this game is about how we perceive humanity. Our external shell does not mean anything without our personality and character, which are inside of us. If life is only a trial in order to reproduce, it does not have any higher meaning. If we only focus on the soul sustaining of our kind, the purpose is lost, and the world around us too. On the other hand, more spiritual approach to life promotes a higher standards level of sanctification about one's life. It also increases our meaning as the collective beings living in a society. In addition to this, it encourages the tendency of viewing our bodies as a manifestation of ourselves and who we are. It also makes us consider our body as one possessing sacred qualities. This leads to higher level of health protective behaviors that can increase satisfaction with one's body and higher meaning of life. So yes, it can be said that Scorn built its story around the theme of reproduction. However, it is important to consider what the reproduction in such world would mean. The story follows the adventure of the humanoid who tries to escape this world, however fails, and is forever trapped in this dystopian universe. However, as silly as this question might sound, is there anything to escape? Or where would he go if this is the only thing he knows? Of course, one might say that those are the limitations of the story. But what if we consider that this is all there is in World of Scorn? In the world where there is an unlimited potential of experimentation and reproduction of humans, endless cycle of reproduction, life and death, nothing but us. Thanks to everyone who stick around. Thank you very much for watching my video. I want to underline that this is just my interpretation and theory on World of Scorn. Please share your thoughts and ideas in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for future content. For now, I wish you all the best and I see you in the next one.